Hello and welcome, sensitive gangsters. We have a new angle. I hope you're doing well. Everything is, a little crazy in general, this year in general, but I hope you all are able to ground yourself and use your discernment and not let yourself get too overwhelmed by all the news, all the fake news, all the things going on. I'm gonna see what we can find today on this collective. It's the energy. What do we need to know? Okay, I don't know how to interpret this one because it could be you made a choice. Oh, interesting. A lot of reverse. We just went through a full moon, so I think there's a lot of things that are going on and that were revealed. I'm sorry, I'm not a native English speaker, even though I'm bilingual, but yeah, it's a little difficult. But we have the Seven of Cups, but it's in the reverse, so I think it's waking up from illusions, gaining clarity, facing reality, moving on, and moving from overwhelming choices, which is, when it is upright, you have a bunch of choices, but we have it in the reverse. So in this case, it's like, okay, you have had a bunch of choices, but you decided something or made grounded decisions, or this is like telling you should make grounded decisions, but the way it looks is more like you're waking up from illusions. And I feel like it makes sense because we just came from a weekend of a full moon. And especially this one, I think was specifically what's the word I'm looking for? Relevant, or yeah, I'm not too much into I'm sorry, astrology. Like I don't have that much knowledge yet on all of these things that how they connect, but I think I have enough to interpret the cards in a way. But yeah, I think it's definitely important to recognize that it makes sense. It kind of makes sense in this iteration. Okay. So we have the Seven of Cups in the reverse, and we have the Hierophant in the reverse, which is also interesting because it's breaking from tradition and questioning authority and embracing nonconformity. So, there has been a lot of things going on. And if you know, you know. uh, but, yes, this is very interesting that all of these three cards come up because this is the seven of Swords in the reverse. So that means often signals a shift from deception or truth to truth. So all of these cards are kind of like revealing something, breaking from something, some kind of illusion. I mean, also the illusion of authority, you know. Then we have the seven twice. Wait, what is the seven? Seven in numerology? It's like wisdom and truth. Yeah, wisdom and truth. That's what I'm like. Seeker, thinker, analyst. Like, there's something about finding out the truth. Hmm. Okay. Okay, let's see what else we can get. All right. So, excuse my cards. We have the pocket archetypes now, right? And what they tell you in this deck is that you can sometimes just take a card and just have it with you, like in your car, in your apartment, on your desk, just to kind of, really get this energy, kind of think, ponder it, And what I've been doing is carrying around this one, the Creator, which, because I'm a creative and I'm also trying to pursue another creative path and creative education, so yeah, that's really been an important energy for me. And it's actually been, interesting and helpful because you just see the card again and again, and you will kind of ponder it and look at it and think about it, and it will kind of influence you in a way. I think that's kind of the exercise in it, and it's not the only one. I got the self. And this is interesting also because of the if you look at the imagery, it's like coming from kind of the heart space, and it's kind of protruding out. And I've recently been listening to some scientists, like podcasts, information on like these kind of things, like the intersection of spirituality and science. And it was interesting because the scientist that is really relevant actually, because he invented something about like I think computer chips or something. Like he's really relevant for the technology that we have right now, and probably the reason why I can even do the thing that I'm doing right now on my phone. Like it's just crazy. And he was talking about this experience that he had where like a light was shining from him, and it was love. He said it was love, and it was like this, like a bright white light shining from his heart space into the world, basically. And he had this profound idea about, the oneness, basically. And if you're spiritual in any way, you will already know about these concepts. So yeah, it's interesting that this is coming up a lot. And also the truth in that we are one, and that we're not, we're not supposed to be divided. We're not supposed to, be as divided as some people might want to have it, to control you, basically, because it's, divide and conquer, right? So, but what is happening is that people are not being conquered. Okay, you guys, we have the sun. We have the sun. This is looking like, okay, the things are being revealed, and oh, we have conflict. We have conflict. Doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me. But the sun is a very, very good sign. Very, very good. Especially if it's upright, right? Okay, let's see. Oh, okay. We have the Two of Cups, but in the reverse. Because usually the Two of Cups is, mutually beneficial relationship, mutual respect, right? But in the reverse, I don't know. Imbalance and disharmony, separation in relationships. Maybe you will, like, this could be read, on a macro level. This could be read on a micro level, but this could mean something like something will be revealed, and it is good in a way because there is a sun. So something like, maybe it's gonna be something like more inner joy because you're not like dealing with all of these illusions anymore. You made a decision, and that decision also affected you understanding what was actually going on, because whatever reactions other people had to whatever decision you made, that could be an indicator. But whatever this is will lead to conflict, or might lead to conflict, and losing people potentially, which in some cases can be more like the healthier decision, even though it might hurt. Maybe you will realize, that there is some imbalance. But because you find this inner joy and peace and happiness with the sun, you will be able to see, okay, there's conflict, and now I realize why and what is actually going on. So now I will cut ties with this person, or realize, oh, this is actually like an imbalanced relationship. Or this could also be the reveal of the imbalance in power, right? If we look at it from a greater scale, it could be all of these things really very much like coming to light, questioning authority, right? Especially very powerful people, right? So the people maybe who trusted whoever was in power may also now feel like, oh no, maybe I need to question this. Maybe this is what the relationship is, the relationship that will break down, because people won't trust their leaders anymore, because their leaders might be deceiving them, might feed them illusions, right? But even though this might be difficult, and this might lead to this, breaking of relationships, this is the Two of Cups, but we have it in the reverse like this. So, and the Five of Wands, which is conflict and like, fiery energy. There's something going on. There's going to be some kind of confrontation maybe. But it all comes after this, and I asked also, what can we prepare for? So maybe this is like, yeah, things are going to be revealed or were revealed, especially if it happened like on the recent weekend, which was the the 4th, 5th, and 6th of December, which was when the full moon was in the sky and was visible in the sky. Sometimes it wasn't even visible, so depending on where you are, I don't know, but there's definitely something about this. I wonder if you can get any clarification. Let me see, let me use this one. Let me see if you can get any clarification. Let me see, maybe you can get some clarification on what to expect with the conflict. What can this collective expect from whatever conflict might arise? What can this collective expect from whatever conflict might arise? Okay, this one's poking out. This one's poking out. Giving, receiving, sharing wealth. This is interesting. Control, security, blocked energy. And we have the Fool in the reverse. Delirium. Delirium. People are delirious. Probably. And what I'm seeing with the giving and receiving and sharing wealth is, I think, the way I'm interpreting it, like from a bigger scale, is people are going to share their wealth rather than, believing in some schemes and, pyramid schemes, all these schemes that are happening, and people, especially young people, might not be able to discern and might not be able to understand what actually is going on, might buy into certain ideas, which is kind of why it works, because you need to believe it, and then it's actually real. But this is interesting. It's definitely, there's some weird energy going on. But this is, Four of Pentacles in the reverse. Control, security, blocked energy. Let me look it up again just to make sure, because some of these cards, I don't know. I don't know about their meanings. But we can always, also, if you know, how to interpret tarot in general, you can make a few adjust, understand. Yeah. Okay, it's kind of like, also letting go. Yeah, okay, interesting. Letting go of rigid control over finances, or also emotions, possessions, moving from hoarding to generosity, openness. Yeah, it comes back to this one. Sharing. Yeah. Could also point to financial instability or reckless spending, but I think with the context of this reading, it is more about sharing wealth and kind of losing that, maybe idea about having to protect all of your assets rather than sharing with people and being able to, have community, because what will happen is everyone will give what they can and get what they need, right? That's kind of the principle of having a community, right? And right now, the way the world is structured, there's kind of there's a lot of incentives to not be a community, to be very individualistic, right? And it's not like you can't be individualistic at all, but it's this idea of that's the only way to exist, right? That is really hard. No human being, is even made to be alone. We're made to help each other, to live with each other, to innately need this social, some kind of social interaction. All of our lives are really based on it, because we couldn't even be where we are if we didn't have other people around us. No one could build all of this alone, right? Every CEO has employees, even if they don't treat them right, they're not doing the work. They're not doing the hard work. Let me just look up the Fool again, because these meanings are too not broad enough to understand how to put it in this context, because it could mean recklessness, lack of foresight, right? But the way I laid it was also combined with these, so Seven of Swords was, yeah, shift and deception from truth. So there's gonna be some, yeah, I don't really know how to interpret this because this could go either way. Like this could be like you're shifting from deception to truth. You're figuring out something, and that is going to lead to or reveal the imbalance in a relationship. Um, hmm. And this could be like the other person is foolish. There is some foolishness going around. It could also mean you are the foolish one for breaking up that relationship. But the way I'm seeing it, the way it is, like the context is in this reading, is more like there is going to be some kind of revealing in general that is actually going to be something good, because what we see here is also the Seven of Cups again with the Sun, because it's actually something positive, going to lead to more personal, joy and community, the way I'm seeing it, because it's about sharing, giving and receiving, and it being actually like a balanced relationship, right? And here we have the imbalance, so like dropping the imbalance, and maybe the people that will be affected by this, the relationship that you're the relationships that you're gonna lose may deceive themselves. They might be delusional about whatever happened there. So that's what I'm also seeing in this case. Recklessness, foolishness, or it might lead to them behaving reckless, being foolish, being naive, like not seeing the bigger picture, being gullible. Could also be stagnation and fear. Irrationality. People might react irrational. That could very well be the case, because some people might not, have gone through the same revelations or whatever is going on there, and might not be on that wavelength. Hmm. Hmm. And this is interesting because this is about the breaking traditions, right? Like the Hierophant in the reverse, questioning authority will lead to conflict, of course, because that is also already what is happening with everything that's going on in the U.S., for example. But we don't have to go into details, of course. If you know, you know, because the people in power are going to use whatever they can do, to control you, to break you apart, basically. Uh, hmm. But it will lead to letting go of rigid control over finances, like rigid control over emotions. Because I think, the thing about the emotions is that they want to have control over your emotions, right? They want to have you in that space of like being really confused, especially emotionally, like acting irrationally. That's how you can really, have control in a way, like being in control of people's emotions, controlling the narrative, right? And that can really, confuse people and make someone feel a lot of things, and that can affect a lot of, like, pretty much every part of your life. So either way, it will be them letting go, or you will be letting go of the deception, is what I'm seeing. Generally, being more open to people maybe who have a different opinion, and because you're going to be able to reconcile maybe some relationships, you will realize what is actually going on, because you're actually going to talk to people, you're actually going to be open, you're going to share your wisdom. Maybe that's also some part of wealth, the things that you've learned. um, Interesting. Okay, so we don't have a bunch of time left, so let's just get a time card for this one to see when can we expect some of these things happening. Maybe some of these things already happened, so maybe what about the conflicts, about the relationships? Can we get some kind of indication of time? Oh, April and May. April and May. Let me just see what they say. If you're unsure, ask someone for advice, and make sure that you're on the right path. Interesting. So this is April and May. So maybe they're, since this is a collective reading, this may be a general theme that is going to come up next year. So, and it's about like really connecting with other people, I think, because if you're unsure about something, ask someone else for advice. And it doesn't even mean that, their advice is going to be helpful or whatever. It's just about making sure that you're on the right path. And sometimes it can be making sure that you're on the right path because the people that um, maybe are like, oh, I would not do that, whatever you really want to do, it might give you even that feeling of like, yes, I am on the right path. Even though this person is not supporting me, actually that is giving me more security in what I'm doing because I know that they don't support me generally. That's why they don't want me to do it, because they don't want me to, whatever, move forward in my life or whatever it is. They want me to stay stuck in this situation where I'm not happy. They might want to, keep me in this relationship that I'm not, getting what I actually need in return. There's definitely some imbalance, and there's a lot of things that are revealed and are, maybe lead to conflict, but that is ultimately going to balance you out because you're going to remove the people from your life, or the people are going to be removed, the relationships that are not balanced. And they might believe whatever they want to believe about it, and that sometimes you can't really, influence that. There might be some foolishness going around the way I'm seeing this. All right. You're going to pick an archetype for the end of this. Maybe this will help us understand a bit more. But the funny thing is, we had the bridge on the end of the deck. So maybe building bridges. Building bridges with people. Breaking bridges could also be the case. It depends on how you read it. So maybe building bridges with people who need it. Cutting bridges with people who really don't need it. And you realize that they were just, playing you, essentially. So we have the hunter. Interesting. People are hunting you. You're hunting people. I don't know. Let's see what the meaning is. Just a moment. So the hunter is probably one of the sleeves, is what they call them. So we have things like the mother or the father. Oh yes, I had it right now. The maiden, the hunter. So when you receive it in a light version, it's like focused, energized, respectful, and seasoned. But you can also read it in a dark way, which means irresponsible, violates, violent, poaching. Interesting. Let me read. The hunter, the seeker, the pursuer, the predator. The hunter hunts. They are on a precise mission with an aim. To return home empty-handed would be to fail, which is not an option in the hunter's eye. This archetype will journey far and wide seeking the prize that calls to its heart or stomach. Tales of bravery and feats of strength often result creating a life full of adventure. The hunter is skillful, quick, decisive, and results-oriented. Like the great hunting goddess Artemis, who carries her quiver upon her back, the hunter typically has a weapon of choice. When this card appears, it is critical that you ask 3 questions. What am I hunting? Why am I hunting it? Is the weapon I hold so tightly in my grip truly needed for the task at hand? Interesting. And it's also interesting that it's also saying, it's also kind of like the seeker, and it's kind of like the seeker of truth, right? You're seeking the truth here, and there's some few other things that are written here. Study the Greek goddess Artemis. Notice her nuanced relationship to the moon, the earth, and the feminine. The predator honors its prey with a precise and skillful hunt. The hunter deeply reveres the life it aims to take. When you activate the hunter archetype, you are aligning your energy with the great creatures of the world. The lion, the wolf, the tiger, the shark. Do so with care. This is definitely very interesting because, yes, I think there is some questioning that needs to happen. Some questioning of the narrative, some question like what is actually the truth. especially if you're just bombarded with all of the things, like everything's happening all of the time. Like that's how it feels, because there are a lot of things happening out in the world, but sometimes you're not even aware. Um, but sometimes people also want to make you aware of something that isn't even happening, or want to, put it in a certain light, tell the story in a certain way that makes them look better, or. So it is interesting. What are you actually hunting? Maybe you are someone who's very interested in social justice right now, which is very understandable. Then the question is, who are you actually hunting, right? And like, who is actually the perpetrator? Is it the people who are on the opposite side of you? Or is it the people who are on top of you and not next to you, on top of you, looking at all of these things going on, looking at you fighting with the other person, and they're like, yeah, that's great. That's great for us. Keep fighting. Keep on fighting so we can have a reason, to do whatever we want. Um, hmm. Definitely something to think about. I will love you and leave you, and I will let you know that joy is resistance, you guys. So please keep resisting. Enjoy all the little moments that you can enjoy. Try to enjoy your relationships. Try to heal. That's all I can tell you. And I hope you're doing well. I love you, and goodbye.